Good morning. My name is Jan Shea, and I'll be serving as today's worship associate. I haven't been here in a while, and I haven't seen so many of you in a while, and it's just wonderful to be here. On behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, I welcome those of you who are here today to worship in person, as well as those who are joining us online. If you're new to First Unitarian, I invite you to check out our website, firstuuwilm.org, to learn more about us and to sign up for our email newsletter. For those of you who are here today, a gentle reminder to follow our current COVID guidelines, which include keeping your mask on, being sure it is covering both your nose and your mouth. During the service, you may feel free to speak, hum, or sing quietly from behind your mask. Immediately after the slideshow at the end of the service, there will be a virtual cafe for those who are interested, giving us a chance to chat with Reverend Gadon and each other and to catch up. If you are not remaining for the virtual cafe, we ask that you not congregate in the back of the sanctuary, but we encourage you to go outside to greet one another. You can gather on the lawn area to the left of the main entrance. For those of you joining the virtual cafe from home, use the link in the email from the AV team. And now I bring you these words of welcome by Melanie Morell Ensminger. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter how you came here, if you came alone or with others, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcome here. This morning's service will be led by Reverend Barbara H. Gadon, who will be joining us virtually. Reverend Gadon served here at First Unitarian Church of Wilmington from 2002 to 2011 as associate minister. She currently serves Eliot Unitarian Chapel in St. Louis, Missouri as their lead minister. In 2019, she underwent a double lung transplant and is enjoying good health and happiness with her spouse, Robert. This month's Soul Matters theme is faith, and our March worship associates will be sharing our thoughts on faith throughout the month. It was interesting and a little challenging to me to consider what the concept of faith means to me, both as a UU and as an individual. And I've found that to me, faith has meaning beyond church doors. As I've faced many challenges over the years, as a child of an alcoholic, then a single mom, and now a caregiver, I used to devote a lot of time to sweating the small stuff. Not too long ago, I had to face the fact that sweating too much small stuff is impossible to do. And by necessity, I had to let go of some issues. In doing so, I discovered that so many things are not worth an overdose of worry, since they are out of my control and will resolve themselves or not, no matter how much I do or don't stress over them. I realize this may sound odd to many of you, but it was a revelation to me. So how does this relate to faith? Well, I have concluded that for me, faith is the opposite of despair. I am not just leaving things by the wayside now simply because the to-do list is too long. I actively choose to hold on to my belief, my faith, that things will usually work out in their time. And when they don't, I have faith that I have developed tools and the safety net of a support system to help me handle the major hurdles. And it's that support system that connects me to broader definitions of faith. Faith in the universe, faith that most people are inherently good, and faith in the power of love and friendship. And now let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Worship is a time that is scored with memory and shot through with hope. Worship is a time for brokenness and healing. Worship is a time of singing lips, of dancing hearts, and soaring spirits. Worship is for children who cannot sit still. And worship is for people who limp and whose hands shake and who ask people to repeat what they have just said, like I do. Worship calls forth quiet reflection and offers its gentle lap for grief. Worship is for joy and loud laughter. Worship is for sitting in faith with the hard things of the world. Worship is a time where we believe love is still here and justice is still possible. Worship is when we sing and we hear and we watch and we touch love. Come, let us worship.
If you're watching from home and you have a chalice, I invite you to light it now. As I light our chalice this morning, I offer these words from Reverend Scott Taylor. We come with our doubts, worn out and worn down, wanting once again to trust, to believe that hope is not as fragile as it sometimes seems, that division is not as deep as it sometimes appears. And so we light this flame as an act of faith, a reminder, a redeclaration, a rekindling of the trust that darkness can't ever shut out the light, that kindness is more powerful than we know, that humility and accountability allow us to change, that together we can most certainly bend the arc of the beautiful universe toward justice. Please join me now in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Well, good morning, First UU Wilmington. Good to see you. It's been a minute. I am delighted to share the Time for All Ages with you today. And I want you to know at the end of it, I'm going to ask you a question. So whatever your age, you can feel free to answer this question. I just want you to be ready so that you can give your answer by typing it in the chat or the comments. Or if you're in person, Jan Shea is going to give me any answers that you have to the questions as our worship associate. So, are you ready? friends. I am here today to talk to you about feelings. Yes, those embarrassing, hard to handle feelings that get in the way of so many things. What to do with them? Well, I'm going to share with you an amazing product that makes all of that a breeze. So most of the time, we have feelings, the feeling that we want to have and want to show on our faces looks something like this: pleasant, calm, happy, right? I feel very popular when I have that kind of a feeling. But sometimes it gets to be a little bit too much and we look like this. Do you want to go around looking like this? I don't. So thankfully, there is something that you can do about it. With this wonderful new product, you can get, all you need is a container, and it supplies the feelings in a concentrated form. So you put the feelings in the container, presto, managed, out of the way. And there's other feelings that give us some problems. So there's things like anger, like that. Aren't people afraid of you when you do that? Have you noticed this? If I look like this, people start to run away. But with this product, you get anger in a concentrated form and presto, gone. You're welcome. What about something like fear? Who wants to look like this? Not me. So if you get fear in a concentrated form, you just go, whoops, I dropped it. Fear is a tricky one. Let's find it. Authenticity right here, folks. Done. Done. Mischief managed. And finally, probably the feeling that we most are afraid of, that give us the most trouble, is sadness, is grief. You look like this. It's hard to have people see that, right? So this kit, this wonderful kit, also includes sadness. Out of the way. Now, the important thing to do when you have placed the feelings in the container is you got to screw it on really, really tight. And there you're done. Now, sometimes what you need to do, though, is you have to be able to access the feelings. Everybody needs to do that. You need to feel sad sometimes. You need to feel happy, and you're not a robot. You want to access those feelings, but you want to do it on your terms. You want to do it on your time. So you just take out the container with all of the feelings in it, and you open it up. Ah! You see, that's what happens. Unfortunately, when you put these all in this little container, I am not even going to try to get this back into the jar right for you right now. That's the only thing that I would say detracts from this product. Is a little bit of a downside, but still, all in all, a good idea to hide your feelings. So now my question to you is, what have you learned from this product? See, everybody's mastered their feelings, never presented any issues to you, never had a feeling come out and bite you from nowhere. Ah, there's a YouTube delay. Okay, so that's another spiritual practice, patience. Ah, here we go. So here's some answers. Maureen Sandberg says, you can't put your feelings on hold. Cindy Cohen says, when I hide my feelings, they come out later in a scary way. Paul Pinson says that feelings don't go away just because you hide them. And someone cleverly named Going Mobile says, keeping your feelings inside you will definitely explode. Well, thank you, everybody, for your answers. Is there any more, Cinda? I'm watching you type. Marilyn Height says, very cool container. She needs a big one for herself. And Dale McGill says, they will come back in some harmful way. That products don't work. Well, that's for sure, Shelley. Okay. And there you have it, folks. A story, a time for all ages, and some true facts about feelings. I invite you now into a time of prayer and meditation. If you wish to, you may plant your feet flat on the floor, straighten your spine, close your eyes, and follow your breath. And hear these prayerful words by the Reverend Liz Weber. Spirit of life, help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys, so that we can truly live, engaging fully in our own life and in our community. Spirit of community, help us know how linked we are, how each one of our cares touches all. Help us to ask for support when we are in need and to offer our support to others when we are able, so that we may rest in the solace of one another's love. Spirit of love, help us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, so that we might fully embody love and resist hatred. Spirit of resistance, help us to stick up for what is right, even when we are tired or afraid. Help us to dream of the world as it should be and to act to bring that world about. Help us to find hope each day. Spirit of hope, help us through this day and each day. Help us to be present for all that is our life. For all this we pray. Amen. Let us now dwell together in silent meditation and prayer. Into this shared silence, I invite you to speak the name of any you wish to hold up for the love and prayers of this community. For these and all good souls who could not be named, we pray. Amen. Our reading today is called Blessing for My First Day as a Widow by Jan Richardson. And if you don't know Jan Richardson, I'm going to do a little, as long as I'm in the product demo mode, I'm going to just show you her book. It is called The Cure for Sorrow, a book of blessings, and she's got other books of blessings, and they're just lovely. So here is her poem, Blessing for My First Day as a Widow. Because I need to go back and tell her what she could not have heard anyone else say. Weep, scream, wail if you want. There was a reason the ancients told us to rend our clothes after a death, to cover our heads with ashes. They knew that keeping it together was overrated. Do not pass by the opportunity to lament what is forever gone from here. It is an honoring of what has been. It makes room for what may be. The life you cannot imagine from here in this place where you can barely plan 2 minutes at a time. People will want to help when you cannot know what could help, what could ever make the world stop falling away from beneath your feet, from your heart that will never be here, never beat here in the same way. Let them help. There will be days the tears will begin as soon as your feet hit the floor. There will be days the tears will not wait as long as that. Let the tears come every time, and then make breakfast. I don't know how to end this blessing. I am still finding it myself, but I am here to tell you there is grace. My heart, is there ever grace? So keep your eyes open is all I'm saying. Try not to miss it. So ends the reading. Well, it is delightful to be with you all today. One of the few good things to come out of this terrible pandemic is that we can worship together from across the country just by turning on a device. Well, that and your terrific tech crew. I am so impressed with y'all. Thank you for having me back in your pulpit. Thank you so much. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I always remembered the writers, or I always imagined the writers of our great hymnal, the hymnal committee, and the conversation that they had about including Amazing Grace in Unitarian Universalist worship for the first time, actually, with that hymnal. Knowing how UUs are sometimes when it comes to words like wretch, we get a little twitchy. So they decided to include the word, but also with an asterisk. And if you look at the bottom of the page, they give an alternative. You can sing the word soul, if you like. Prevented a lot of church fights, I would imagine. And that's perfectly fine. You do you, boo. I sing the word wretch. It's important to me to know that even when I am wretched, I'm still held in a circle of grace. Jan Richardson writes, within the struggle, joy, pain, and delight that attend our life, there is an invisible circle of grace that enfolds and encompasses us in every moment. We need help to perceive the circle of grace, to perceive it, to find our place of belonging within it, and to receive the strength the circle holds for us. We need the circle of grace, especially when we are grieving, when we've suffered a loss, and we've experienced so many losses over the past few years. Our whole world has. In the United States alone, almost 900,000 Americans are reported to have died from COVID. And if it's true that each person has an average of 9 close relatives, mother, sister, child, spouse, that means 9 million people in our country alone are in grief. This past year, I lost my close friend and other mother, Barbara Krause. She had been suffering from dementia for a long time. We were losing her slowly, while she was still alive. And they had been a foreign service family. And Barbara, who once managed 5 kids living in different countries, South Korea, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, Barbara could no longer find her way to the post office alone. She was an honors graduate from Bryn Mawr College who could no longer make sense of the newspaper. Most care facilities don't allow people with healthy cognitive function to live in memory care with their impaired spouse. So her husband, Alan, took care of her himself. And it grew harder and harder as she became unable to bathe and dress and to feed herself. There were a dozen indignities visited on her daily. He cared for her through them all. At one point, their son said, "Dad, you've been amazing." And he said, exasperated, "Well, I don't want to be amazing." He was tired. We forget. It is not we who are amazing, but grace. And we need grace. We need something larger than ourselves to hold us. The First Unitarian Church of Wilmington has had its own particular losses. I have been watching you from a distance, my dear old friends. Just in the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years, Marge Meyerman, Glenn Barbaras, and Scott Ward, for many people, including me, these were the people that we counted on to be there. I used to tell Marge's daughters, "Yep, chicken wire and your mom, that's what's holding this church together." But you could have said that about all of them at one time or another. Pillars of the church. They seem permanent, which is a dangerous way to think of anyone or anything. We know that, and we don't give it up until we have to. Now, of course, death is not the only form of loss, nor the only thing that we grieve. We can lose a marriage to divorce. One of you once told me that losing your spouse through divorce was worse than widowhood because there was this element of blame lurking about whose fault was it? So unfair. We can lose a career through a bad turn in the job market. With chronic illness or aging, we can grieve the strong, capable body that we used to have. And another loss. This past year, you lost your brand new ministry with the fabulous Pamela Watt. And when you called her, I was excited for you both. And just like that, it seemed her father grew ill. She knew she couldn't care for him and be your minister both. She was amazing, but she and you needed some grace. This is a lot of loss to grieve at one time. Mary Frances O'Connor said that grieving is a form of learning. I thought that was interesting. Grieving is a form of learning. She said the process of grieving teaches us how to be in the world without someone we love in it. We don't know how to do this, and it becomes our job to learn. And it doesn't just mean learning how to do things that were not your job before, like balancing the checkbook or cooking the dinner if that was somebody else's job. It means also learning how to live with the feelings. All those feelings that feel like the volume is turned up. That's what they say about grief. It's like your feeling the volume has been turned up and you're not just angry, you're like this. And they can hit you out of nowhere. People wonder what grieving is sometimes. And the simplest explanation I know is to take time to feel the feelings. That's what it means to actively grieve. Take the time to feel the feelings, work through them, honor them, and accept that you won't or you cannot do everything as you did before. Maybe the hardest thing about grief is to understand that it probably will take a lot more time than you think. Grief has no timetable but its own. To grieve is to unlearn things too. We read a funny cartoon in the New Yorker and you automatically walk across the room to where they were sitting and they're not there anymore, and we have to unlearn that. We have to learn how to ask for help or to accept help when it's offered. What do we want to say? No, thank you. And we have to unlearn that. Such learning and unlearning, I'm convinced, requires grace, which means relying on something more than just yourself. And that's hard because we are so rewarded for our individual resilience. In the first year of the pandemic, we kept hearing that word, resilience, and it was a sort of call for toughness. And after a while, just hearing that word made me so annoyed. At my church, we managed to have a small bridging ceremony outside on our grounds. And I turned to the seniors and said, "Are you tired of people calling you resilient?" Were big nods. That's not what church is for, really, to reinforce how resilient you are, to tell you how awesome you are all by yourself without anyone to help you. We should not be judged or measured by how well we take setbacks. Surely succor is our right. Surely we have a right to be cared for and comforted. We have a right to be a mess and still be held. "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved." As most of you know, I had a double lung transplant 3 years ago. Now, when you receive the call from the transplant center after keeping your phone charged up, ringer on by your side, which is an achievement for someone my age, I will tell you, when you finally get that call and they tell you there is a pair of lungs that are a match for you, you are entering the territory of grace, and you know it. It is a place well beyond what you could possibly do on your own. I am a huge chicken when it comes to many things. A few weeks before the surgery, the surgeon was explaining the procedure to Robert and me, what exactly they were going to do. And he said, "Well, we make an incision here, and then we go all the way across to here, and then we remove the first lung, and then we move the heart over to the side." And I know that he said more things after that. I just sort of blacked out. And yet, when it came time to have the surgery, I wasn't afraid. I don't understand it. It's not like I sort of muscled up and kicked my fear to the curb. It just wasn't there. No idea how that happened. Except for grace. Except for miracles. Miracles of science, miracles of healing. The circle of grace with doctors, nurses, pharmacists, kindly x-ray technicians who brought me a warm blanket when I had to wait my turn in a chilly hallway. Illusions about personal resilience and independence are hard to keep up when someone is assisting you to the toilet. When I came home from church, people from church had signed up for turns, taking me to one of my 5 weekly rehab appointments and bringing me meals. And the circle of grace was bigger than that. I learned much bigger. Word had gotten back to Wilmington that this was happening. Glenn Barbaras typed out the words to the song "Accentuate the Positive" on his manual typewriter and mailed them to me. Marge Meyerman was asking her kids on Facebook how I was doing. And as hard as that time was, I never felt the circle of grace so much. And yet, and it's never easy. So this morning, if I had come to speak with you in person, I know that if I'd entered your building again, there would have been this one hard thing for me. And that is looking over at the organ, at the piano, and not seeing Scotty. Besides all the wonderful big music Sundays and our day-to-day friendship, serving together on your staff, Scott played for Roberts in my wedding at the UU Church of Arlington. We processed in to the sanctuary to Clark's trumpet voluntary with him on the organ in his stocking feet, I would imagine. We left to him singing "Swonderful, Smarvelous" by George Gershwin. Certain places and events can be tripwires for our grief. You can feel like you're doing okay and you see something and it happens all over again. But I'm telling you, the balm or the grace does not come by avoiding them. It comes by going there and making the circle with other people. A joy shared is multiplied. Sorrow shared is cut in half. We come into the circle of grace by telling stories, seeing the pictures, and hearing the music again. Grace is something that comes to us. We cannot earn it or achieve it. We neither deserve grace nor are we undeserving of it. It is a different category altogether. Our Universalist ancestors got it right, I think, when they unhooked us from any sense that we could earn, buy, or deserve God's heaven, and that it had anything to do at all with sin or sacrifice. Grace is much bigger and more amazing than that. May we know grace today and feel it and tell everyone that we know. Amen.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, with thanks unto the end I will sing.
Morning. I think my mic is on and you can hear me okay? Yeah. Well, today for our stewardship moment, we need to think of stewardship in two parts. First of all, the current moment, today. And each week we invite you to make a donation, to contribute to the church so that the church can continue its work. And each week we show you the slide that has 4 ways for you to give. And for those of you here in the sanctuary, the easiest way to give is to just put your donation in the box at the back of the sanctuary. for those in the sanctuary, as well as those online, there are 3 other ways that you can give. First of all, you can write a check and put it in the mail to the church anytime during the day or the night, if you're inclined to do these kinds of things at night. Another way to give is to go online. Go to the church website. Click on the little box that says donate and follow the guidelines there, and you can make your donation that way. Or the 4th way is to use the iPhone app or the new app that we have, where you can make your donation, your pledge online through the iPhone. And again, you can do this any time of the day or any time of the night. So it's important to give. It's important to support the work of the church as often as we can, whatever works well for us. And so now let's participate together in repeating together our offertory dedication. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. Now, the second part of our Stewardship Moment today has to do with the Stewardship Pledging Campaign. Now, as the chair of the campaign, I get a lot of comments. Most of them are nice ones. Some of them are, well, how long are we going to do this? Well, if we could have the slide that shows where we are, that will tell us kind of where we are. And the slide, you saw it in the e-news as well as it's not on the, here we go. Okay, if you look at this slide, this tells us that we've made pretty good progress. We have about 2/3 of our congregation having made their pledge, 2/3 of our pledging unit. It's not there yet? It'll get there. I see it on the small screen up here. Anyway, 2/3 of our pledging units have made their pledge, and that is great. That also means 1/3 of our pledging units have not made their pledge. The amount of our pledge, there we go. So you can see the numbers now. And the numbers indicate that in terms of actual amount pledged, we are a little bit over 3/4 of the way to our goal of $490,000. And we are at $371,496, or whatever that number is. I believe that's correct. Now, that was where we were on Friday. Actually, we've received a few more pledges since Friday, so that means we're a little bit better than what the chart indicates. This gives us an idea of what we still need to do, as well as what we have done. And once again, for those who have pledged, I say a hearty thank you to each of you for your pledge, for your commitment, for your support of the church. And sometimes it's really good to know what other people or other members are saying about pledging and about the church. We've seen some videos over the 6 weeks that we've had our pledging campaign going, and today we have another video. And this video is by Maggie Duffy, and she shares with us why she's involved with the church and why she pledges. So let's carefully listen at this point to Maggie's video and think about what she has to say to each of us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maggie Duffy. I came to First Unitarian in 2003. After a few visits, I knew I would keep coming and quickly joined as a member. I joined a small group and began to learn more about myself and the others in the group. That was my hook. Throughout the years, I've served First U in many groups, including a ministerial search committee and the board of directors. I've also seen Unitarian Universalism on a larger scale by attending 3 General Assemblies. These experiences have allowed me to grow as a person and a citizen of the world. I do look forward to moving forward. This congregation and the principles of Unitarian Universalism give me hope. This church provides seeds of thought, opportunities for action, and challenges me to grow. I want this church to be a touchstone for others in the future. And that is why I support First Unitarian Wilmington with my time and with my annual pledge. Financial stewardship is a gift and a way to pay it forward. I strongly encourage everyone to dig deep, review the giving guide, and pledge as generously as you can in our upcoming stewardship campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. A couple things that Maggie said, are important for us to think about. One thing that she said was to pledge generously. Now, in order for us to meet our goal, that's one thing that we need to give some thought to. And let me mention just 3 steps. There are 3 easy steps that will get us to where we want to be. Number 1 is to think about your pledge. If you have not pledged. If you have pledged, think about it again and be grateful that you have the opportunity to pledge. But if you have not, think about your pledge. And, I was talking with a friend of mine from another church about stewardship stuff, and he said, a lot of people in a lot of churches tend to procrastinate when it comes to pledging. And he said, I suspect that even happens with Unitarians. And I said, yeah, I think so. He said, well, one person told me that I've been thinking a lot about my pledge, and I'm just now getting ready to make my 2020 pledge. And the person to whom he was talking said, well, I think it's a little bit late. Well, I want to encourage you, don't procrastinate. That's a fun thing to do sometimes, but not when it comes to pledging. Don't procrastinate. Think about your pledge. Think about it in a very positive way. The second step is to decide the amount of your pledge. Now, when you decide the amount, you may need to talk with other people in your pledging unit, in your family, or just very close friends. But decide the amount. That's a very intentional thing to do. And like Nike would say, just do it. Just decide what your pledge will be. And then the third step is to make your pledge. Now, that's fairly easy to do also. Now, at the back of the sanctuary, for those of you that are here today, you can find this, what is that? A blue piece of paper? I think it's blue. Anyway, if you want to fill out this form, that's very easy to do. It's very straightforward, and you can do it in just a few minutes, and that means that you've made your pledge. Or on every article that you've received, whether it was an e-blast or e-news article over the past 6 weeks, there's been a link that you could click on, and it will take you to the site where you can fill in online the pledge form. And that's very easy to do also. So you can make your pledge that way. Or possibly the easiest way is just to call the church office, and you can tell whoever answers the phone what your pledge will be, identify yourself, and your pledge is complete. You've made your pledge. So, I don't know whether you're at a point where, let's get on with the work of the church. let's stop talking about pledging. Well, we can do that as soon as we reach our goal, $490,000. And we'd have just a little over $100,000 to collect in pledges at this point. So hopefully we can do it. I encourage you to do it. Please don't procrastinate. Do it as soon as you possibly can. And thank you very much. Especially thank you if you have made your pledge. And now let us listen to the offertory music.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, George. Before we close, I want to invite you to stay and visit with me if you can. I'm already seeing names and faces that I know, and I'd love to talk with you, either on Zoom or if you're in the sanctuary. I've heard there's a mic set up for you to come and chat. And now may the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. Amen.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to extinguish it now as I extinguish our chalice to these words by Fred Lamott. When times are dark, the way becomes clear. Trust in your breath. Rest in your heart. Bow to the stranger. This is the gospel of astonishment. If we are completely lost, we come home to each other.
I can't hear you. What?
Good morning, friends. We're kind of just getting started. You probably see me twice. I'm really here just once. I'm Cinda Crane. But we had it a little bit differently this time because Reverend Barbara was here on Zoom. And you know what? If you say her name, she suddenly appears.
Hey, y'all.
Hey,
So good to see you. Wow.
Yeah,
morning, everybody.
Cool.
good morning.
Gosh.
I know.
And
they're
Cinda
just-
joins us from Longwood Gardens, it looks like.
I am. It is spring in my head and it's almost spring outside. So I'm very excited. So,
Okay, we're getting ready to start the virtual cafe. So if you're joining us, please have a seat. And if you're not joining us, please a reminder to gather outside and not inside.
so due to the
Okay,
magic
so
of John Claney,
Why
we
am
have
I
Jan
facing
Shea.
this way? Well, I am facing this way because this is how you will face if you want to come up and speak to Barbara in the chat rooms. We're going
we
to
mute this
have two chat rooms, room 1 and room 2, and Barbara will be in room 1 first and room 2 second. So for those of you at home, if you're in the chat room that Barbara is not in, talk amongst yourselves. And with that, I am going to turn this over to Barbara and invite everyone to reminder that we are starting the virtual cafe, and that if you wish to come up and speak, please face in this direction so you can see Barbara and the camera can see you. Thank you.
Let's see.
Well, hey, everybody. It's so cool. It's so good to see you and just even seeing your names.
Magic of John Claney.
Why am I facing this way? Well, I am facing this way because this is how you will face if you want to come up and
John, we're getting a double voice.
Not just in my head.
we have two chat rooms, room
Okay.
1 and room 2, and Barbara, one first.
If somebody has their